And welcome to Tennis Channel Inside In, the podcast on the Tennis Podcast Network. I'm Mitch Michals, your host, as always, welcoming you into this show where we like to profile players, coaches, analysts, legends in the sport of tennis. And this week's guest is just that. He's been a pro for over a decade now and has grinded his way to the ATP Tour. Had his first major breakthrough down under in 2018 and hasn't looked back since. He's made 2 Australian Open quarterfinals, claimed the Auckland Open title in 2019, and has profiled CC Bellis on this season's My Tennis Life. From the great state of Tennessee, we now welcome to the show, Tennys Sandgren. Tennys, thanks for joining, man.
Happy to be here. It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Well, first off, I got to ask, because it's that time of year where everything is gearing up. It's that push in the summer. How's the European clay court season going from you? You're calling in from Belgrade, have been playing some singles.
Yes.
There. How's the adjustment to clay court going for you?
I'm happy to report that there's one event left on clay, and then and then I hope the pain is done. I mean, it's been a tough slog, honestly. It's been real tough. Yeah, I don't know. I've been training hard and working hard and trying to get my feet under me on the clay, and it just hasn't been working out very well thus far. Luckily this is the biggest one coming up, and hoping to play my best tennis at that one. That would be timely. But it's been a challenge. This is probably the most time I've invested into my clay court swing, where I felt healthy and body's been feeling good, and just haven't been able to put together the tennis that I would like to. But we'll see. I at least I've got a good training base under me, and fitness is really good. And if the clay doesn't work out, at the French, then going into the summer, I'm about as prepared as I can be. So that's positive for sure.
Gearing up for the schedule of a tennis grind, especially an unconventional one with COVID, I've noticed that it tends to just be, are you healthy? Are you getting the match reps in? It's tough to hit the ground running when there's so many variables you can't control. You kind of have that up and down relationship with clay, the U.S. Clay Court Championships, making the final there a couple of years ago. Is it a surface you enjoy playing on? I mean, I know all things considered, the results haven't been there, but do you enjoy playing clay court tennis?
I think it really depends, honestly. I feel like my best tennis isn't played on this surface. So if I don't mind playing on it. It's just if I'm playing a guy who's more comfortable and just makes better decisions on the surface, then it's not enjoyable. It's fine if I feel like I'm in the meat of the match, but some of these matches I feel like I'm just not making good enough decisions to do that. So at that point I'm not having a great time. But when the match is competitive, I enjoy sliding. I enjoy that it's physical, and those things are cool. But then the part where they're hitting behind me and my feet are underneath me and I'm sliding, doing the electric slide the other direction.
Yeah.
It's not my cup of tea. Losing in straight sets isn't my cup of tea. So, getting over that and just trying to keep getting better on the surface, knowing that I'll never be my best, but that, I can make those better decisions when the matches are tight and the points get long. Because it's different than hardcore tennis. It's different than grass court tennis. You have to do some things a little bit better, and maybe be a little more patient.
Yeah, some of the draws for these smaller tournaments too have been just so loaded because players want to get reps in. You're seeing top players play 250s like never before. We're going to get to the current schedule in a little bit, but I just want to go into that career retrospect mode for a second. Growing up in Tennessee from Gallatin, which I just looked this up too as well. It was voted like the nicest place in the country, which I didn't even.
It stole the title, I think, at one point. The thing about those, first of all, I love Gallatin. I love going home. I still live there. I enjoyed it a lot. That being said, I haven't been home very much, but it's still one of my. I've traveled a lot, and it's still one of my favorite places to go back to. That being said, somebody has to win that every year. You can't. You can't keep giving the nicest city award to the same city just because it's the nicest every year. So you kind of have to. You have to move that thing around a little bit. But Gallatin's great, man. It's great, and it's 30 minutes outside of Nashville, and Nashville's growing and booming, and I think I just saw that there was a concert going on there, some concerts going on this past weekend or last weekend where things were looking pretty normal, which was cool. So it looks like we're getting back.
What was the, because I don't think Tennessee is known, especially growing up as a 90s kid, as like a tennis hotbed for America.
You take that back right now. You take that back right now. We got some great players. Brian Baker, Nashville native Brian Baker. One of the best tennis players to ever play it, I think. Didn't have the best luck with injuries, that's for sure. But an amazing player. We have Ryan Lippman, current Vanderbilt assistant coach. He was a heck of a player. My older brother, he was a good player, All-American, Tennessee.
Is that what got you?
Maybe not the hotbed as you think of hotbeds, but as far as the U.S. being a massive place, and you don't think of Tennessee as a big tennis hotbed. You're right, but we've had players. We've definitely had players, and then even in the Knoxville area, Chris Woodruff, Ryan Williams, guys that are, and others, guys that are very good. So you wouldn't think it, but there's been some good tennis.
Was your brother the one that kind of got you into the game? I mean, growing up there, did you play other sports?
Dude, my name is Tennis. Hello.
I know. I had to ask that.
Who got me into the game? I mean, my brother played and my parents played, and we have a court in our backyard, and so it was just, life was kind of revolving around tennis, and so it was either be with my family on the tennis court and have a good time, or do something else on my own, and it just fit. And then I liked the fact that it wasn't a team sport. I liked that it was all on you, and it was, I would blame little kids. It's weird when a little kid is blaming little kids that for your losses, but if it's just you, it's all on you, which is great. I didn't really get the whole team memo thing. I wish I had now a little bit, because team sports are great. The camaraderie and the friendships and things like that are a lot of fun. But I loved it, really.
You mentioned your name. I mean, I guess we should get this out of the way. And I saw the Tennis Life feature where it's like going to a bar. It can be annoying, and people don't believe you, and that's your name. I would imagine too, going to grounds and playing in these events, just hearing that word over and over again. You're kind of currently like looking over your shoulder, like, you talking to me, or are we talking about the sport?
That's exactly how I think about it when I hear my name. There's that word again. Hey, tennis. There's that word again. I mean, it's at this point, it is what it is. I'm so used to it that it doesn't really. It's more so people around me on occasion will make that sort of like mental connection where they'll say the sport around me and they don't know me very well, or they haven't spent much time around me, and then they'll kind of chuckle like, but your name is Tennis also, and you're like, yeah, that's funny that I just got to watch you make that sort of click in your head. But at this point, it's par for the course, really.
So were you indoctrinated as a Vols fan too? Was that like, okay, I'm going to play tennis, I'm going to go there, or I'm going to,
not really. Not really. We weren't that big of Vols fans, honestly, growing up. Grew up closer to Vandy, honestly. But then when my brother decided to go there, kind of we transitioned into big Vols fans. And then loved it, loved Knoxville, loved going there to watch him play, and went to a few football games once he was already in school. And Knoxville's kind of a second home for me, honestly. It's a great spot. Little bit slower going than Nashville at this point with the growth in Nashville, but great to see my Vols winning the SEC tournament. That brought back some great memories, seeing those guys put the orange on their shoulders and get a big win there. I remembered in 2010, we won the SEC tournament, and it's just great. It was great to see that. They were real close to pulling that one off too in the NCAA tournament. It was cool. It was great to see. I love Chris Woody, the head coach. He's a great guy, great coach, great guy, and seeing success from him is fantastic.
Full disclosure too, one of my best friends out here is a Vols fan. So every Saturday I kind of live it in the fall. The
thing is there's too much pain. I'm all for pain. I'm all for it. I'm a professional tennis player and spent a lot of time on the Futures and Challengers Tour. I'm very familiar with pain, but the Vols football is a different kind of pain. It's a different level of suffering, really. I don't really understand the whole, like, I'm a big Vols fan and I want them to do well, and I back them regardless of whether they're winning or losing. But I don't have to watch.
No, not the last 10 years.
I don't have to watch it. I don't have to live the moment. Like when I know it's going to be an L, like I'm pleasantly surprised when it's a W, then I don't have to watch every L as it unfolds in real time. And that's kind of how I've been going about it the last, 7-8 years, really. Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of coincides with you, actually, if you have the timeline right, becoming a fan. Like you just kind of jumped on board, and then the team.
Basically, I mean, I'd like to think that it was Lane Kiffin's fault and not my fault. Well, I don't even think that's his fault. I think if you boil it down, you would probably say it would be fans that wanted to see constant greatness, and so they pushed Philip Fulmer out of the head coaching job, and that propelled us into the dark ages. Really, that's what did it. Oh, we were 7-3 on the year. Terrible. You're out. You're gone. You're gone. And then we started a cycle of the coaching carousel, and that's never good. I don't know. Look, I don't know much about college football and how to be great. I do know that the coaching carousel thing doesn't work ever. So yeah. So that wasn't smart.
Got to have a succession plan, but you got people there. We'll see what happens. But with tennis, getting back to your career, 2011, you decided to turn pro. What went into that decision? And it was a grind. I mean, longer than I think you would have liked to get to that ATP level. But that decision in 2011, did you struggle with that? What ultimately tipped the scale to go pro?
Yeah, it was a tough decision, but my thought process was that I felt like I was good enough to get through futures and to progress and win matches and feel like I at least belonged at that level, and then I could get better and improve and also support myself, at least make enough for my expenses. Whereas before I went to college, that wasn't the case. I was barely getting out of first rounds, if that, wasn't making enough to support myself. And it's like, well, I can't, this isn't sustainable. Like I can't do this. And if I can't do this, then I don't know if I'm even good enough to be a pro. So I should go to college and I should try to get better. And I should, have something in the reserves as far as plan B for my life, because I don't know if this is going to work out. And then, yeah, I improved after a few years. I got better and worked real hard in college, and the coaching staff helped me a lot, and was just able to kind of get better in that baseline pro level of futures, and thought, I've wanted to play professional. That's my goal, is to play professional tennis. And so why not now?
Was that competition adjustment a shell shock for you, or were you used to? I mean, because you were, national semifinalist that last year. Now you're pro, and a lot of players I talk to say it's tough to just get used to lusing because it's what's going to happen.
Right. I was very used to losing. That wasn't an issue. I wasn't. That was no stranger to me. I mean, I felt like the futures level, and I mean, some players, futures are interesting because you can run into some really good players at different times in their careers. So you can run into a very good younger guy who's on his way to top 50 or whatever, but he's making some pit stops here first. And so those kind of matches were tough. And then the matches where former top 100 players were coming back from injury or coming back from, some sort of hiatus to get their ranking back up, and they dip down and play a 10K or 15K. And then those matches will be rough. So I'm like, this level is different. But then the normal kind of future level really wasn't. I was right in the thick of that. So it's just about, was I playing a future in the same week that Jesse Levine and Brian Baker and a few other guys were dipping down to play these and get some confidence and get some points. And when that happened, things didn't go that well. But then if that didn't happen, then I would make a push in the tournaments I was playing. So I don't know. The futures are they're very interesting, because to see the sort of melting pot of tennis players, and you see the good, bad, and the ugly.
More with Tennys Sandgren on Inside In. Looking at your 2011 start to your pro career, progression was pretty good, but 2014 is when the injuries started. I believe it was your hip that kind of first, flared up, and you had some serious dealings with injuries. Was that a bug that you felt like you couldn't shake mentally? Did it weigh on you? And I have to ask too, since fitness is a part of your routine strongly now, was it a big part back then?
Yeah. I think, I've always been, I don't know, sort of the physical the physical suffering of training has always been a part of my sort of profession, I guess, my professionalism. It's not necessarily, I mean, I barely even feel like I'm training for tennis. I'm just training just because I feel like I should train, and I like to train, and I like the way that I feel while I'm in it and while I'm doing something difficult. And then after the fact, it gives me confidence, and it gives me sort of edge. And I've kind of always felt like that, but I keep kind of progressively, or at least I have kind of progressively pushed the envelope to just get better. And so I would definitely say that I've gotten in better shape in the last few years, but I was always trying. It just, you're not really, you don't know what you don't know. So it's hard to be your sort of optimized best self when you don't really know what that looks like. So I definitely think I have gotten in better shape for sure, but it was a big part. Yeah, I hurt my hip in the end of 2013. I just won my first challenger, and I got inside the top 200 for the first time and felt like I was finally starting to make a push and make some headway. And then like a week into my preseason training, I tore my hip, my labrum in my hip. I'd actually done that in school and was able to rehab through that, and no surgery. And then I felt it the second time and was not able to rehab through that. That was kind of brutal and was too painful. And I was thinking, now it's kind of funny looking back, because my thought process was, if I want to play for 10 more years, there's no way this thing can hold up. And then kind of here I am, 10 years later, basically, and I'm like, not a bad decision, young me. Good job, buddy. Worked out okay. Hip feels good. Body feels pretty good for the most part. So not a bad call by 2013 me. Not bad.
In 2017, you had that breakthrough for the first time in the top 100, but I'm just curious if in the years from that period, 13, 14 on, was there ever a point when you thought about tapping out and saying, this grind might be a little too tough, or the body might not hold up? Did you ever think about walking away?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many tough moments in this career path, either, during a competitive stretch, or on a break, or things aren't going well, or you're not winning. It's a struggle. It's, you're traveling so much, 35 weeks out of the year, just about. And then the training weeks feel like you are still traveling. You might be training somewhere else. You might be training in academy or USDA center or something like that. And so you're not even at home. And so maybe 40 weeks or 40, closer to 45 weeks rather than 35 weeks. And you're like, what kind of life is this? Is this how I want to live my 20s? Like this? I had those conversations with myself for sure. I still have those conversations. It's like, at what point do you have to stop at some point? At what point is that time to stop? And is it when your body just completely taps out, or is it when you've had enough, or are you mentally done? And yeah, for sure. When you're not making any money and you're traveling that much, you think about all the time, really, like, is this the best way to spend my 20s? Because I don't know, people tell you don't want to look back in your 30s and think, what did I do in my 20s? I'm not anywhere. I had a decade of time and I just kind of squandered it. I tried, but I just kind of squandered it, and I wasn't putting my energies into things that I should have. So that was something that definitely, weighed on me in those particular times of my career. Sure.
You said something interesting too earlier, that team sports were never really for you. You like the individual aspect of it, but the crutch of that is you don't have teammates to rely on and support when you have those mental moments. So it can be an isolated thing, off the court as well.
It is just by nature. It is an isolating thing. And especially when you can't afford a coach or a physio or anything like that. And so you're traveling by yourself, and a lot of time is spent. I mean, in the States, a lot of time is spent in other people's homes that are nice enough to put you up, but for housing, which I'm very grateful for. But it's interesting to stay in a stranger's house for a week, different house to house, and then a random hotel, and you're kind of on your own. And yeah, it's no real sustainable way to live your life. It's not. That ain't it. So if anything, it's a good motivation to get out of that, get through it. The only problem with that is that it's really difficult. Everybody's trying to get out of it. Everyone's doing what they can to improve. And it's a challenge.
We could do a whole nother podcast on the inequities and the inefficiencies with the money factor of tennis and who can afford what, and it's just a
Well,
whole.
just briefly on that, it's like, well, I've played enough futures to know that we're not generating anything. We're a farm for trying to get players through, but we're not generating any sort of capital. There's hardly anybody that comes out and watches and or follows. The only people that really follow futures are people betting on the matches, essentially. I don't know, unless you monetize that in some form or fashion, then what's it going from? You're taking money away from people that are actually the people that fans want to watch, and you're giving it to I don't know, unsuccessful, essentially, pros. I don't know. There is no real good solution there other than it is what it is, and you have to get through it if you want to be successful. I mean, it's a challenge. It sucks, really. I mean, I feel for, because I was there. I feel for guys that are struggling week to week paychecks to try to pay for flights and stuff like that. But I don't really think that there is a good solution. I really don't.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I meant just more along the lines of not having to be able to afford a coach, have a team, have a physio,
right.
Those things where money is one thing, but that's the advantage that the top players can afford.
Exactly. It's almost like you have to separate yourself while you didn't have the advantage, and then if you are able to separate yourself because of your game or your talent or your work ethic on your own or whatever, then you're able to afford these other things that allows you to separate yourself even more, which is cool, but it really kind of tips the scales a little bit at a certain point.
So 2017 tennis, you had your breakthrough. You got to the top 100, and it was really on the heels of, I think, 5 challenger finals. First main draw at the ATP tournament in Houston at the Clay Court Championships. Big win over Nick Kyrgios as well, playing in your first U.S. Open. It was the first time you really made a mark on the ATP level. Just curious, what was clicking? What went well? What do you think caused your game to come together that year?
Well, it was super helpful that I had been healthy for more than a year. That was kind of the first time I played like a full calendar year, and then I was still healthy, which was weird. I was still able to keep playing a full schedule. I'm like, wow, this is nice. I have like some momentum, and I'm not getting stopped while I'm playing well. And that's a big deal, because when confidence is in short supply and you don't know if you're good enough to make that push in the first place, and then if you feel like you start getting the wheels turning in the right direction, then you get stopped with something, for 2 months or 3 months, and you got to go back and find your form again. I mean, that's a challenge, to say the least. So I felt like that was a big deal, was just staying healthy and able to kind of keep momentum going and keep confidence going. And the wins kind of racked up, and pushes weren't stopped. I'd make a finals of a challenger, my body would hold up, and I'd, make semis or finals the next week, and things just started clicking. And I started working with my current coach. I started working with him, and in that spring period, and things just started clicking, really. I would say probably mentally was the biggest thing, just not sabotaging myself too badly, and staying fresh of mind enough to play good enough tennis and allow myself to play good enough tennis. I'd say that would probably be the biggest thing that I did and still struggle with and still can get better at. It's just staying calm enough that I'm allowing myself to be relaxed and play good tennis, but still energetic and focused. It's a tough line to toe.
I mentioned that U.S. Open, played Cilic there. It had to be exciting for you to finally get to play there. And having been a pro for so many years, did you have to adjust to playing in a big stadium with big crowds, the different venue?
Honestly, I still like it. It brings out the best in me to play in front of a bigger crowd, to play on a bigger court. There's more going on, but there's less distraction. There's like things become kind of white noise,
right?
Because there's so much going on. And so then you can't really focus on anything other than the tennis, and to have actual eyes on you playing in person, like it like brings out like the most focused version of me, and the less like irritated and
so you like the noise then too. So you like when there's kind of I don't want to say rowdy, but a little bit of a buzz.
I like the buzz. Like I said, it kind of, I don't like noise in general. Like I'm very, I don't know, anal about the things going on around the court. When it's small things, like when it's like one person or one thing or one movement, it's highly distracting to me. But then when it's 10,000 people or something like that, or 5,000 people, it all kind of melts into one thing, and I don't have to think about any of it really. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't grab my attention. And at that point, I have the electricity or the buzz of the stadium, and nothing is really distracting me. And it's like I feel like way more free and way more able to just let go and play the tennis the best that I can on the day. At least that's kind of how it's gone. And this COVID kind of tour without fans and stuff has been kind of brought back to some of those futures and challenger moments where I'm getting highly frustrated at little things and small stuff. And yeah, it hasn't brought out the best tennis in me, that's for sure.
When you started to make these main draws, play against players, I mean, you've been in a position that very few have been in, where you've played against Roger, you played against Novak, you've got wins over team, you're playing the best players now. What's it like sharing the court from them, and what's the stuff that you kind of learn, about their game and just the consistency level and being on the court with the absolute best in the sport?
Playing Roger was interesting because it was like I was watching Roger warm up, but I was the person he was warming up against. I was kind of like, it's kind of weird to be the thing that is playing against Roger, the person playing against Roger. It's like interesting. It's like not I've seen him in this situation a lot. I just have never been the one on the receiving end of it. It was kind of an odd sort of sensation. It's kind of like an out of body sort of thing. Like I'm doing it, but I'm kind of watching it happen at the same time too. And I don't think you need me to explain, but that doesn't really result in you playing playing well at that point. So I started that match pretty tight, pretty nervous, not playing particularly well. But yeah, just it's kind of strange to be in those positions at this point. Definitely welcomed, definitely like an enjoyable thing to be able to play against the best players in the world, to kind of see how you stack up and where you stand and how you can get better and what are the areas of improvement you need to do, because if you can do it against those guys, then it's going to translate, everywhere else. So that part's great, honestly. And to have played the sport for so long and to get opportunities to play against the best guys, and especially the best guys now, because these might be the best players ever, at least for, the foreseeable future. That's a blessing for sure.
From there, you went to Australia in 2018, and that was the life-changing, life-altering moment where you make that run to the quarterfinal in your first main draw. Looking at it from the outside, there wasn't a lot of signs. There wasn't a lot of like buy stock in Tennys Sandgren going into this. He's on the rise. But what was it that all came together in that run? And I also have to follow up with, you obviously like playing there. You like playing down there with your only title there, another run a couple years later. What was it that brought the best out of you in Australia?
I really don't know. It's kind of stars just aligning, really, just for a brief moment. Everything just kind of came together. There's a lot of hard work, a lot of years kind of went into that, sort of just working out. I mean, everything kind of clicked. My serve clicked. I put in a really good preseason training block, and the things I've been working on really came together, and some interesting matches in there, some tough matches. I remember kind of finding myself in the third round and playing another guy who had just kind of found himself in the third round too. And both of us are in a really good position. Like, wow, I get to play this guy in the third round. And I'm sure he was thinking the same thing. Like, wow, I get to play this guy in the third round. That's awesome. Like, really interesting. And so we were both kind of in this weird scenario where, if you would have told me that I would have been in the third round before the event, I would have been like, sure, I'll take it. Like, bye. That sounds great. But then seeing, my matchup, I was like, okay, you really should try to get through this one, because that would be, be really cool to lose to team in the round of 16. That'd be awesome. And then I did. And I felt, I was proud of that, because that was that wasn't one of those matches where it's like, if I lose, it's, I'm playing a top 10 guy, it's kind of like another guy that was like 70 in the world. Like, okay.
Got there.
I think that would be sick. And then playing team, I don't know. I remember I broke him in his first service game. He kind of came out a little slow. And I thought after that first game, I was like, you know what? Why not? I mean, I'm serving well enough. I kind of won the first set just off that break and was serving really well and was just kind of holding pretty routinely. So I, in like 22 minutes, I'd won the first set 6-4. And I'm like, okay, well, shoot. Like, if I can do that 2 more times, and then, I might somehow manage to sneak out of this thing. That would be crazy. And so just, I don't know, just worked out. And then, it almost, I feel like I was really close to winning that quarterfinal match too. I know it was in straight sets, but he was, Chung he's had some tough injury goes. as of late, but he's a heck of a player, heck of a baseliner.
Yeah.
But he had that blister on his foot, and I had the second set break. I think it was at 4-2 in the second set breaker. And I thought after the match and after him having to retire, I was like, man, if I could have won that second set breaker, that could have changed everything. I mean, I could have turned it into a more physical match. And I don't know if if his body would have held up at that point. And so I was thinking, I was kind of kicking myself, like, shoot, like what kind of seemed like, oh man, good run, tough match. Would have been like, shoot, if you could have just buckled down a little bit there, you could have found yourself in the semis. Like, so I kind of thought about that in the 2020 run too, just like to not sell yourself short, even if you are like in a place that is satisfying. It's like, you don't know, there could be more meat on the bone there.
Did you find expectations kind of building? Because I know your story isn't unique to you, that there's usually some struggles after that first breakthrough, that you have that run in Australia and it takes a couple tournaments, couple months to find your groove again. Did you find that there was more pressure?
I mean, not really, honestly. I had some arm issues there that I was dealing with during the tournament. I had a stress reaction in my humerus in my right arm. And so that's like swelling and edema in the bone. Yeah. Which just made playing super painful. And I kept playing through it thinking that I was going to get better and that it would improve, which was my mentality always during futures and challengers, because you're not getting much help out there. And it's like, well, if you stopped every time you're in pain, you're not going to be playing much because you're in pain a lot. And that's just kind of the nature of the game. So I just kind of figured that I'd get over it. And I never did. And I kept playing on it and it wouldn't get better. I'd be in a lot of pain. And I had a couple good weeks in there, I guess, at the Houston final and a couple wins, but like the clay, when I got over here for the clay court swing, I was, it was not good. And finally got an MRI on it that showed like, all the swelling and stuff that I had been playing on. I was like, you idiot. Why didn't you do that a lot sooner? Take a month off, do the rehab and the training to get it better. And then you wouldn't have suffered for 5 months and then you would be shorter for you to come back on. Like, why would you do that? And so that the rest of the year was, especially like late spring and summer and fall, was just kind of like dealing with that and trying to get that better. And I felt like I was a little bit frustrated because I felt like I was playing really well and I didn't really get a chance to see how much I could kind of continue on that sort of run after Australia. And it is tough because you do put more expectation on yourself when maybe there wasn't that expectation before. And but I mean, feel like there's always challenge. Either you don't have confidence and you're trying to find it, or you have a lot of confidence and the expectation rises. And then there's something like it's almost human nature to find some sort of like bone to pick with yourself, some sort of thing to kind of work through in a competitive mode. And it's the guys that are able to, regardless of the situation, regardless of whether you're playing for your 22nd Grand Slam or your first ever semifinal of a slam or whatever it may be, like to just relax and play, try to let your tennis flow out of you. And that's at the end of the day is what you should focus on, because there's always something, there's always some sort of internal struggle happening.
It makes sense to me that you've had success early in the year based on the fact that you seem like the kind of guy that looks forward to the off season and the training and putting time in. It was during your second Australian Open run that Jimmy Arias actually said on TC Live that you're one of the fittest people he knows in terms of just working hard and getting after it in the gym. And I think that's more than the location. Would you agree with that? That maybe it's just about starting fresh and getting your body right and putting in those hard yards, as the Aussies say? Yeah,
I mean, I think that plays the biggest role, honestly. I think that, and the fact that the surface and the style of tennis that plays well there is super helpful for me. Like it rewards you for going after your serve. It rewards you for playing aggressive, but also it's a hard court, so you can still defend well, and I can defend well at my size. If it was the clay court, if we were starting the year on the clay court swing, I don't think it would matter too much how trained I was. I don't think like, I'm in super good shape. Like I've been training super hard. Oh. The Argentinian guy goes, that doesn't matter, dude. It's clay. Yeah. See you later. See you later. You're like, so I think that plays a big factor too. But for sure, the having, getting that month and a half of training in, and then maybe the fact that I don't know, I feel like guys work really hard, but maybe I'm just doing a little bit extra to help me in the late stages of some of those matches where I'm just able to hang on just that little bit extra longer. But I enjoy the preseason a lot. It's one of the few times you just get to train. You just get to train and get after it.
It's Tennys Sandgren on the Inside In podcast. Hate to bring it up because it is a landmark moment in your career, but the match with Roger in Australia.
Yes.
Is there still some scar tissue there? Are you able to look back at it and take the positives out of the fact that you were toe to toe and arguably the better player with one of the greatest of all time?
I would like to think that I've come to terms with it, but I'm probably going to have to do some serious therapy in about 10 years time when it still is a problem. And I end up having nightmares about it because I've repressed that match so much. I take the positives from it for sure. And I really don't think I was winning that match no matter what I did. It just seemed cosmically impossible. Like, I don't know. It's hard to be that close to something and not have it happen. It almost feels like it was inevitable. Like he was Thanos for the day. He got the click in. I wasn't going to stop it. I mean, I would have loved to have kind of kept going with that momentum. If I could have, I felt like I was playing really well, and regardless of that match, I mean, it hurt like hell, but I felt like I was playing well. I felt like I was a better player on the day, and he was better in the tiniest of moments that put him over the line, which is why he's Roger and why I'm Tennys. But
go hard on yourself there, but
yeah, I felt like I was playing well. I felt like I would have given anybody a run for their money. I would have liked to have played that, barring my body coming back pretty good. I don't know if it would have, honestly. I would have been pretty banged up for that semifinal match, but it would have been cool to have played Novak in that semifinal match. But I'm hoping there's more opportunities in there somewhere. We'll see. But it definitely gives me confidence for sure. I like when people ask me, how much money would you have made if you would have won that match? And I go, yeah, shut the heck up, sir or madam. Like, it's none of your business. All right. You don't ask people what they make what do you make after taxes? Shut up. Can't ask that.
I thought in that match too, I thought, that whole run, you were able to keep your emotions in check. Let's say, for example, a player, maybe an Italian player, like leaves the court for a while, you're able to just kind of lock in and still be focused on the game. So there's definitely positives of that whole run, regardless of the ending.
Yeah, it's true. That match was fun, man. I enjoyed the match. I like playing. Fabio and I have the way our games match up. I feel like we're always play like pretty entertaining tennis. I like it. It was that. I don't blame him, man. The end of the first set was brutal. It was super, super physical. We were both just smacking the ball around and running hard. And I was hurting a lot at the end of the first, and I kept thinking, if I'm hurting a lot, he must be dying right now. And then when he ended up taking about 15 minutes of just downtime between sets, essentially, I was like, you know what? He's probably tired. I was pretty tired too, so I don't necessarily mind the 15-minute break there.
I thought that was just an entertaining match for sure, and to keep it going with Berrettini. That match kind of showcased to me the relationship you have with your coach, Michael Russell, who's been on record. He's trying to get you more aggressive. You've always been a great defender, especially for your size. But is that something that you, in your mind, actively are working on, trying to be more aggressive, especially when you're in these big matches against top players?
I think that's when I play my best, when I'm aggressive but not pressing. I naturally like to try to be a retriever on the court, but against these sick tennis players, it's just not good enough. They'll end up getting the better of you. So when I've been more aggressive in my career, I've definitely played better and done better. And it's just not my natural mode. My natural mode is I want to be Jill Simone. I want to be a $155 wet, and I want to run everything down and play defensive tennis. And I want to be a retriever, except I'm 210 pounds, and it's not gonna go well for me over time. I need to use my size, and I need kind of impose my will out there. And it's taken a while to keep improving that and keep getting better at that.
Before we wrap this up, Tennys Sandgren here on Inside In, I do have to ask about what it's been like this last year being profiled on My Tennis Life. We've kind of gotten to see the interests of you as well, some of the hobbies, which, by the way, the cover of the song you did, I don't have it in front of me, but when you were playing guitar, that was, it's good to see the other side. I know you're a gamer as well, but
yes, I have my laptop behind me. I went and bought a laptop in Switzerland because I lost my charger for my other laptop and I couldn't bring mine on the start the trip. And after about a month and a half, I was like, you know what?
Going crazy. Yeah.
I'm going crazy, man. I'm going crazy. I got to burn some time a different way. It's been a month and a half of reading books and drumming on a practice pad. Like I need to switch it up. Yeah, I enjoy, like I've enjoyed the my tennis life and sending videos and trying to kind of showcase a little bit of what it's like. Just kind of what's going through my head as I'm traveling and trying to get better at this thing and the sport. And I don't know. I don't know if the content's been any good or not. I don't know if it's a particularly entertaining showcase, but I just some of them. I wish I was winning more matches. I feel like it'd be more entertaining if I was like, "Hey guys, I made semis this week, feeling pretty good." It's like, "Hey guys, went down first round, tough one." It's like the Groundhog Day of tennis life, But some of the places have been cool. Like I was cool to see Rome for the first time. First time I played Rome was last September, and we weren't allowed to leave the hotel room. So to kind of see Rome for the first time was great. And there have been some cool spots and some cool stuff. But yeah, I've enjoyed it.
It was before I correct myself, it was a Tyler Childers song. So I don't think that surprised anybody that the guy from Tennessee was just crushing.
That was fun, man. That was fun. My buddy came. I was done for the year, and he came from the Kerry Challenger and Torp, and we went and got a guitar because he didn't have his guitar with him, and we were just having a good time, having some drinks and doing music stuff and playing video games. We just took the week and just hung out. It was great. It was kind of like a vacation, like a staycation, where you don't go anywhere, but you just take it off. I didn't train. I didn't hit balls. And thinking back on it, maybe I should have. At this point, maybe I should have. But that was fun. That was a good time. I'm hoping to do some more stuff like that here in the future.
Seems like there's a lot of impulse buys in the tennis world. Like you just buy a laptop in Switzerland, you guys get a guitar for the night.
There are a lot. I went and bought a banjo. I still haven't practiced it. I got home and I was like, it'd be great is if we could add some banjo. And I went and bought a banjo, and I've played it, maybe 2 hours. I don't know. I've been trying to get better at drums, but like string instruments, I know nothing. I'm a complete novice. So I wish I could get better. It'd be great to throw in. Imagine the Tyler Childers cover, but with banjo thrown in.
Yeah,
I know exactly.
This is turning into a giant karaoke performance too. We gotta probably clean up down in obviously you're right there. Karaoke country.
Yeah, I also like to think that my tennis career is starting to turn into one giant karaoke performance as well.
A cover band. Yeah. Wow. We can wrap it with this. 2021, still a lot of tennis left. I remember, a time when your goal was just to get into the top 100. Now you're there. What are the goals going forward? I know you got that milestone birthday coming up, but we're seeing players best tennis in their 30s. So what's your goal coming up for this year and beyond?
My immediate goal is to just do everything I can at this French Open coming up to try to get some wins, try to see if I can put together a good week of tennis if the stars align themselves for something like that. I'd love to. Yeah, I don't know, man. Also, a good week would put me maybe in Olympic contention as well. Olympics wouldn't be. The Olympics don't look like a whole lot of fun with the amount of restrictions that they have. Looks like a tennis tournament that they have the 5 rings at, essentially. But that would be cool because I'm not planning 4 years from now to be in position. I don't know. We'll see. Well, 4 years is a long time though. So if I could do it sooner rather than later, that'd be cool. But yeah, I don't know. I would like to, see if I can get some momentum and see if I can get some confidence and see if I can get some wins. And I know it's not about the wins per se, but I know the way that I'm going about things that, I'm focusing on the right stuff. I'm doing the right things and to have some tangible, results from that would be nice. It's nice to have that so that, you're on the right track. So see if I can right the ship, that's kind of really what I'm focused on.
You just heard, I mean, you hear players say it might sound weird to the outside, but you just heard Roger Federer say, like, I'm not going to win Roland Garros. I'm trying to just get myself in position to set my year up.
I think similar to Roger, I'm pretty sure that I too am not going to win Roland Garros. Going on the record. Going on the record. Don't tell my coach that. But going on the record.
Do you enjoy playing on grass? Like, I mean, is it because it's
what we play on now is not what I would consider grass.
Oh,
Wimbledon is the slowest surface. It's the slowest slam.
Yeah,
it's the slowest slam. And what is that about? You know, like they want more rallies. They want more for TV. I guess I don't know. Like Wimbledon's my favorite tournament, but it's not. I'm not even saying that I would do well on it. Like what I consider as grass, but you know, I don't know. It's too slow. So I enjoy playing on it, I guess, at this point because I can rally and I don't have to change my style too much. It actually suits me pretty well with just going after my serve and going after some bigger shots and I get rewarded for it. But realistically, I mean, who wouldn't want to see some serve and volley tennis? Really, who wouldn't want to see people coming in a lot? I think it'd be great, but we slowed it down a lot.
Well, I definitely think that going forward, as we start to get back to normal, as we start to get more fans involved and everything, we get to the North American hardcourt swing, that's going to be a time for everybody to, you know, enjoy the game a little more, but yourself to kind of get back to normal and get back to playing some good tennis. As long as you're healthy,
yes.
I'll hope. I think that's the push. So
I like where your head's at.
It's weird to say the French Open is kind of the table setter for the rest of the year, but in this case, I think it can be.
Right. I think you're right. I mean, if anything, this clay court swing has just been a giant training block where I've been able to work on my fitness and work on different parts of my game that need to translate to play on clay, but will also translate to the hard court and to the grass. So, you know, I think you're right. I think regardless of how the French goes, I think I'll be in a good position to at least be in a good position to grind some matches and maybe some fall my way, maybe they don't, but you know, we'll go from there.
Tennys Sandgren, thank you again for joining TC Inside In. Appreciate you coming on. Best of luck at the French Open, tournaments beyond, and learning the banjo. I think that's the primary goal. So
learning the banjo is the primary goal. I agree. Also, I think the draw came out while we've been on the podcast. I've been getting texts about how terrible my draw is. So I don't know who it is, but
you know, it'll be out by now. We can break this right now.
Yeah, but I mean, might as well. I think my draw sucks. You might maybe take a look.
Yeah, so that would have been, it's funny because it's a Thursday draw, you know, keeping up to date on everything. But let's pull it up for you right now. This will be a great way to end, to just break who you're actually playing. Let's find it down there. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I don't want to be the one to tell you this, but you're
no. Tell me, break it live. Damn.
Sorry, I really didn't want to tell you that. I didn't have to scroll very far though. That was good.
I've never had my draw get broken on a podcast. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to sound brass or anything like that, but I like the challenge of playing who I think is the best player on the planet. Maybe not on that court. I mean, maybe Rafa's the best player in Paris on was Chatrier is the main court. Maybe Rafa's the best player in the world on that court, but I think just in general, I think Novak's the best player in the world. So to have that opportunity, that's how I've looked at it when I played him in the past, and it hasn't gone very well. I mean, whether I think that or not, but like I enjoyed the I don't know, you know, there's no harm, no foul. I get to put my skills up against the guy who I think is the best ever to do it. That's cool. That's cool as shit. I'm gonna say shit. I mean, I play Novak. I can say that. I think it's cool. So, I mean, I'd prefer something else, but you know, that'll be interesting.
Well, you've taken a set off him in a major before, so take that as positive going into it.
What's interesting about that is that I won that third set and I knew that I lost the match. I knew the match was over. I was so tired. It was so humid. That New York swing was so hot and humid. I had already gone through like 10 shirts and it was going into the fourth set. And I distinctly remember winning the breaker and thought, well, this match is over. but not in like the good way, like in the way that like there's no way I can sustain this level anymore. And that's one of the reasons why I've pushed my fitness harder and harder and harder. Was like, well, if I ever want to compete with this guy in a slam, I have to be in better shape. And if I'm not training for that, then what am I training for? And so that's kind of why I've, kept getting in better shape, is for matches like that. And so I guess that's kind of how it works, guys they set the bar, and you set the bar really high. It's like, well, shoot, what am I going to have to do to get there? And you don't even realize, where the sport can go. That's probably why we've had 3 of the best players ever at the same time, as they push each other. But yeah, it'll be fun, man. Regardless of what happens, it'll be fun. And I'm saying that, but if I go down 2 sets to love in a break or something like that, yeah, I'm having so much fun. This is great.
Well, hey, we're all looking forward to that match for sure. I mean, it's the measuring stick in the sport, so
it is.
Best of luck with that. Best of luck going forward. Tennys Sandgren, thanks for joining Tennis Channel Inside In, and we'll be catching up again soon at some point. Hopefully after
absolutely
a win. But thanks again for coming on the show.
Anytime, man. Anytime. Appreciate it.